Hello, my name is Zachary Pruett. I am the pastor here at Faith Journey Church. My testimony begins at a young age when I was saved, but we're going to skip forward up until age 16, because at that point is when I made sure of my salvation, rededicated my life to Jesus Christ, as well as surrendered my life to whatever He wills, not necessarily what I like. I had made a profession of faith as a young child, but my mom, around time for me to graduate, wanted me to go check out her alma mater. So I went to Baptist Bible College in Springfield, Missouri. And I went and just not even planning to go, not even open to what God wants me to do, just going to make somebody happy. So I go, listen to the lectures, listen to all the good stuff that they had to say. And on a Wednesday or Thursday night, they had a praise and worship concert. No clue who the band was, no clue who the speaker was, although he was an alumni. That's all I know. So I listened to the band, critical of what they had to say. But then, when the speaker got up, something happened. God chose to remind me of a few things that I had neglected, not necessarily forgotten, but it just put behind me. He reminded me that I was a sinner that He chose to save. He reminded me that I was nothing, but He valued me. I was reminded that I was saved for good works that were meant to glorify Him. Not to make me known, not to make a name for myself, but to point others to who He is. That night I rededicated my life and I surrendered to live for Him. As far as denomination goes, I'm Baptist by birth. Got a heritage, both my side of the family and my wife's, of Baptist missionaries, Baptist preachers, Baptist servants, Baptist singers. Dad's retired Navy. Everywhere we moved, we had a Baptist church that we went to. I think a couple times was a Southern, but most of them were independent Baptist churches. So naturally, as I continued my studies, I continued learning the Baptist tradition. I continued following the Baptist tradition. And even with the little studies I've done on other denominations and whatnot, Baptist is where I stick. Going back to age 16, when I surrendered to do whatever God wanted me to do, go wherever He wanted me to go, even though I wasn't positive I wanted to do it, God started bringing chaplaincy to mind. At age 16, I had no clue about chaplaincy. I had never heard of it other than, oh yes, there's military chaplains and there's health place chaplains. So while I was in college, I studied pastoral studies because I didn't know where God wanted me. I just knew I wanted to be prepared for when He had me in the place that He wanted me to be. I wanted to understand those theological concepts. I wanted to understand who He is so I can better understand what He wants me to do. After college, we moved to Oklahoma City, where we started helping out a small church in town, and something was missing. God was tugging at my heart. God was pointing things out. God was showing me that something was wrong. Something was missing. This was not it. This was not all. There in Oklahoma City, we got Tinker Air Force Base, not even 5 blocks from my house. And God started pointing out all of these different people. God started pointing out the base every time I drove by. So while I wasn't even interested in military service, God had other plans. While I was arguing with God in the fall of 2011, a couple months later, I chose to tell my wife, and about a month and a half later, I told my dad, Dad, retired Navy, says, go Air Force. They're more family friendly. I go to the Navy recruiter. I waste his time, and so I go next door to the Air Force recruiter, and we start doing paperwork. I start losing the weight that I need to lose. I start getting things lined up to do what God has wanted me to do. I go enlisted just to do what He has for me to do, so I can better understand the enlisted side of things. Since 2012, I've been working to fulfill the calling God has given me to become an Air Force chaplain. May God bless.